I had a baby as a result of an affair and now his wife is reaching out to me. Find link other video of other updates in the description and pinned comment. Update 4. Since the last time I posted, we've recently had a mediation session and he's met our son twice. At this time, he will have supervised visitation, with me present. Because he lives states away, he is required to come here to see our son. It will not be on a weekly basis due to the travel. He will see him during 2 weeks of the month, 2 times each week, for a total of 4 visits a month plus 2 video calls a month. This will last for 6 months. The next step will be for him to continue that schedule, but to have unsupervised visitation during which he cannot remove him from the area, for another 6 months. After a year, we agreed to have another mediation session to determine next steps, with the goal, his goal, of being able to have my son at his home for short overnights. I'm not even ready to discuss that. He's already suggesting I can come for the first few times. I don't like the sound of it at all. We also have the option to request another mediation before 1 year and something tells me he's going to pull that. I also have an order for child support. While he is in agreement with paying child support, it will have to work through the court system before becoming official and for me to start getting the regular payment. He wrote me a large check in the meantime. I was hesitant to accept it. Not that I don't think my son deserves it, but now I'm just always worried I'll say or do the wrong thing legally, completely unknowingly, and shoot myself in the foot. Like, am I obligating myself and my son to anything by accepting this check? Can he somehow spin this against me? Of course he was not in favor of the 6-month plan, and while he does understand that my son should not just go off with a stranger upon first meeting him, he wishes we could speed it along a little more, but 6 months was what we were able to agree on. He wanted to fly us both to where he lived so he could spend a week or 2 getting to know our son, but I don't feel that's appropriate at this time. Perhaps in a few months, or around the holidays, depending on how things are going. It would be too much too soon. The initial 2 meetings went pretty much just as I thought they would. My son is extremely shy. He wanted to hide behind me most of the time. Then when he would venture out from behind me, as soon as his dad would say anything to him, he would scurry back behind me and just stare at his dad blankly without saying anything. He came out of his shell a little bit, however he has still not said a single word to his dad. He just pretends like his dad isn't there and only talks to me. I will say that his dad is being patient and understanding as far as that goes. If he's frustrated, he's not showing it. He did suggest that maybe our son needs to get out more, go to daycare more or even preschool instead of spending so much time with me and my parents. He's very delighted with how much our son looks like him and how much he favors him over me. The one thing that did bother me is that I already told him I wanted to be very careful and mindful of how we informed our son, this little barely 3-year-old boy, that this man/complete stranger is his dad. He said, sure, yeah. Then at the first meeting he introduced himself as dad. Since then I've been trying to help my son understand. Like, you know how your grandpa is my daddy, this guy is your daddy. It's so surreal to me that any of this is happening. I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for something to blow up in my face. Now, it's just working on accepting our new reality. All of this change is hard and confusing for my son, and it's hard for me. Unless he really fucks up, I'm looking at eventually shared times with my son, spending school breaks and holidays at his dad's house, hours and hours away in another state. It won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen in the most likely reality. I just hope he stays committed. If he can be a good dad to my child, then my child deserves that, no matter how sad sharing him makes me. If he breaks my son's heart, that'll be another story, and I won't accept that so readily. Comments. What did your lawyer say about accepting money from your son's father before child support is finalized? I find it hard to believe that a court would order your 3-year-old to go to another state to visit a man who he doesn't know and who refused to have anything to do with your son for 3 years. Your AP sounds like he has enough money to come to your state for the visits, so it's not like cost is an issue. The man can take vacation and rent a place near you. Or he can buy a second, or third, home near you. If you don't want your son to go on out-of-state visits, get a better lawyer. The giant check is super sketchy. Like the baby's daddy did not want to go through the court process about visitation rights last posts, but is okay with wanting to wait on the courts for child support payments. Feels like a trap. Specifically a lawyer-advised trap. Maybe the baby's daddy is being sincere. But hopefully OP's lawyer has a radar out. I'm probably just paranoid. OP, they haven't ordered him to visit his father in his state. But eventually, that will probably happen, talking elementary school age. Comment. Still young for out-of-state visits, but at least that gives you more time to see how this situation unfolds. I'm sorry that you are here. Hopefully your AP turns out to be a good father, having been through a split home with my kids, I've come to look at it as if we are fortunate if there are more people in the world who love and cherish our children. Update 5. It's been 3 weeks since I last posted, and just over a month since our new visitation arrangement started. I've seen plenty of people here talking about how dumb I am. What am I doing that's so dumb? I don't really you. I know it was dumb to have an ongoing, year-long affair with a married man. It was stupid to put myself in a position where I could likely end up pregnant. That was in the past. What am I doing now that's so stupid? I have a lawyer. Yes, I agreed to talk to his wife one time. How did I know she was just doing his bidding? Who would have thought that was the case? It's not even like I went to meet her in person somewhere. It was just a video call. I figured I at least owed that to her. Just one time, and a chance to tell her I was sorry for what I did. But ultimately it fell off, and I protected my son by telling her I didn't think it was appropriate at this time for me and my 2-year-old to travel to another state to meet her teenage kids. It's not as if talking to her opened the door for him to reach out to me. I was careful with what info I shared with her. It's not as if I told her my address. He didn't need her to gather that info from me. Me talking to her isn't what prompted him to contact me directly and establish paternity. When he reached out to me directly about wanting to be involved with our son, I didn't reach out to him and decided to discuss things directly with him. I got a lawyer. When he showed up at my house, I didn't let him inside. I put my son in his room, so he didn't eventually see our son or have access to him. I'm listening to my lawyer. I met with him in mediation, and I am trying to make careful decisions for my son. There is nothing I can do to prevent him from having access to our son. The court will grant him access if I fight it. At least this way I have a say in the arrangement. We are supposed to be using a parenting app. Since the last time I posted, he's reached out to me outside of the app. Now, he keeps talking about us coming there to visit him. I have told him no. It's not appropriate. It's too much too soon. He's also already started talking about changing my son's last name to his, but maybe in a year or so. He tries to have personal conversations with me, not always about our son. I have shut those down and referred him back to the parenting app. He thinks using the app is stupid and is only for people who can't get along. He thinks it'd be better for our son if we got along and got to know each other again. He cares about me and what's going on in my life, or so he says. I also didn't cash the check he gave me. I returned it. If he wants to help financially beyond the child support he's ordered to pay, he can purchase items that our son needs out of his own free will, but he isn't to give me cash or checks. My lawyer actually told me that there was nothing wrong with accepting and cashing the check. It wouldn't affect anything related to child support. But knowing him, he could be using this check as something he can bring up later in court, and I just didn't feel comfortable about it. Sure, I would have loved to have kept it. There are quite a few useful things I could have used that money for. Of course he was upset when I returned the check, via certified mail. His plan was foiled. I know he's trying to butter me up for something. I don't know precisely what, but I'm not that stupid that I don't see through him now. Comments. Stop talking to him outside of the app. I am extremely concerned for you. I've commented elsewhere, but you're in a very serious situation, and while I think you recognize that to some degree, your actions aren't constantly reflecting it. I don't want to come off as nagging or aggressive, but do not communicate with this man outside of the app. He is trying to get you to slip up somehow. You know he wants full custody of your son, and he's currently petitioning to get his name on your son's birth certificate. Don't give him the opportunity to catch you off guard. You've already mentioned that he crossed a boundary by telling your son he's his dad after you clearly stated he needed to establish a relationship first. You're allowing him to continue crossing boundaries, and if you don't stop it now, he's going to keep pushing until he makes your life a nightmare unless you give in to him. Why would changing your son's last name even be up for discussion? X has been trying to steamroll you since the beginning of this. Stay strong, OP. People here will hopefully keep successfully encouraging you to not give in. OP, that's just how he is. To try to get him to leave the topic alone for now, I told him we can discuss it in a year then.